Hello, everybody, and welcome to LLG Random but Real. This is this has been a day. This has been a day. I know you see a voice, and I just want to shout out to Calvin Gray who did some mock-ups of my photo for my CD. Want you definitely go get that. Definitely today, right? That would be great. So I am your host, Lisa, One Singing Lady Gilliam, and I'm excited to have my friend Monique Goldring. And I say friend, we're also associates. We do work together, but at different locations. But we work pretty well together. And so I'm going to bring her up in just a second so you all get to see her. Um, this is Miss Monique. Miss Monique. And so y'all know we are random but real. So I will tell you, she did let me know that she will be doing this on location. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It is on location. Y'all should know by now, I don't really care where we are talking about the things that are random but real as long as we get it in there and we're getting it in there. I think y'all going to be blessed by this testimony. And really, that's what it is. So, it hasn't even been a year yet. It hasn't been a year that I've known you. It hasn't been a year,
No,
actually.
no.
We found out that we're both May babies and May babies rock, So I think that that's a commonality. And then we have mutual friends as well, who work with us, who have worked with us, and that just made it like I guess a better even mesh. But we're in the same position, like I said, different locations. So Monique is I consider her a survivor. So anybody that was watching or looks at my TikTok videos, I usually post a flyer as well. And that's the song that I picked because she is a mom and she's strong and just passionate and continues to go like, and I say going hard for her child. And we're going to talk about that in this today. You tell me, what name do you want me to refer to your daughter by? You want me to call her what you call her? Or you want me to call her?
Eventually, we'll get to Tootie, but she can be introduced as Miss Phoenix Divine.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And so, Miss Phoenix Divine, she's such a cutie too. She really is. A coworker
Thank
we
you.
called one day, and she was just like, "You should go like read her story." And Monique has actually been and Phoenix have been interviewed by people because that's how powerful the story is. Just so you know, on here, Monique, although I was a counselor for 20 years. And I'm letting other people know that as well. This is not about me counseling. So if anybody watching needs help or needs, therapy in the process, or you're going through something similar, please seek it out. You can also get in contact with me and I will gladly refer you to some therapists. I am not acting in the role of therapist, although I was one for years. I just want to put that out there. I might actually put it out there later. So the opinions that you hear are of myself and my guests. Okay. We want to make that clear. So I was told that you had gone through something difficult as a mom. Those weren't the exact words, right? But I do know that other mothers watch this, and the basis of it has always been mental health. So we'll kind of talk about that as well. Because honestly, I don't know how you remain so strong. It's a lot. And so, can you tell me? I know you told me, but I want you to say in your own words. Let's do this first. Who is Monique Goldring? Let's do that first.
Oh man. So definitely a mom. Definitely an educator. I am very, very patient. I love kids. Over the years, I didn't think that this was going to happen, but I suddenly became a nurse overnight because of my daughter's condition. I sing, but not for the public, so I do have vocals. I'm a writer. You know, that's who Monique is.
I tried to
There's
get her to
definitely
sing,
levels
y'all.
to this. Whole
She
lot of
wants
yes.
she
I'm
wants
nervous
to.
about
I'm
that
still
one.
waiting. Maybe I gotta wait till my birthday since we got May babies. Maybe if I put in a request now, I can get that in May.
I might go on and give you that birthday song.
Hint, hint. You pause, Monique. Oh, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay, so tell me how you became a nurse overnight.
Okay, so my daughter, she was born August 2018. And she was born with double outlet right ventricle. We also refer to it as DORV. I had no idea. And it's a heart defect. I had no idea that she was going through anything. I didn't know in utero. I thought I had a healthy baby. Every time I got an ultrasound, the only thing that they were really looking for were like the four chambers of her heart. And they're just like, well, they're there. Everything's all good. But with double outlet right ventricle, sometimes you can't see that two of those chambers, they're on the wrong side. So her lungs were being flooded with blood, just way too much blood flow. And so they told me, I had a C-section, and they told me, look, if you don't allow us to operate on her, she's going to die in a week. So within her first week of life, she had her first open heart surgery. Ooh. So that was step one. So once we finally made it over that hurdle, she had open heart surgery number 2. After that one, she was finally able to come home. So she came home in January 2019. So let me back it up and see if y'all caught that. So I gave birth August 2018. My daughter never saw home until January 2019. So I am just a hospital mom all the way. Cannot be denied. I slept there. I drove back and forth, from home to the hospital if I didn't want to spend the night some nights. That's just what our life has been. So she finally came home, and very lively little girl. She was on oxygen and a little bit of medication. Those were her only requirements until she was supposed to have her third open heart surgery, which could have been her life-saving surgery. Things didn't actually turn out the way that they had planned. They meaning, the team at the hospital. When she came home, she started having like nosebleeds. And she eventually swallowed that blood. I'm driving her to the hospital. Her nurse called me and was like, hey, Phoenix's nose is bleeding. I need you to, come home. She started sending me pictures. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, oh, heck no. I see how much blood is coming out. I'm like, yo, I got to go. I left work. I ran home. We got her in the car seat. And it's just me driving her all the way to the hospital in Virginia. And by the time I got to the ER, she had already coded.
Oh no!
So Phoenix was completely blue and lifeless in my backseat, and I thought I was dreaming. I really thought I was tripping, but it's something that is unmistakable. When you see it, you know exactly what it is. And so I'm smacking her face. I lift her arm up. Her arm just went limp. I'm like, oh my God! So I panicked. And it's funny because they always say, people always say, oh, if I was in that situation, I would do X, Y, Z. Man, I'm telling you, all my common sense went out the window, which seemed like forever, right? And I'm like, duh, you might want to snatch the car seat out and run into the ER. So I grabbed the car seat, I grabbed the oxygen, I run in there and I'm screaming. I'm like, my daughter's not breathing. They get her to the back. And it's nothing like what you see on TV. Normally in emergencies like that, they always say, I'm going to need you to leave the room. They put you out. That's not how that went. I literally sat there for what seemed like forever, watching them trying to resuscitate my 7-month-old daughter. I only had her around for 7 months. And out of those 7 months, she was only home with me from January to March. Wow. Fast forward, they were able to resuscitate, but she had coded for quite a while, lost oxygen to the brain. And so now my daughter has brain damage. My daughter has never walked. My daughter has never talked. So I don't know what it's like to hear mommy. And that has probably been the toughest pill for me to swallow because she was very, very lively, very, very advanced. She was holding her pacifier on her own her first week of life. As soon as she came out the womb, she latched onto the boobs. She just was advanced. We been at home chilling when she came home in January, watching cartoons. She kicking her feet and swinging her hands, and she got mommy's attitude. So if I changed the channel, she rolled her eyes, like everything. I miss all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say to people, don't complain. Don't complain. Your kids sometimes, I know they get out of control. That's what kids do. You know what I mean? But please understand how the noise in your life can be a blessing because my daughter is completely mute. You know what I mean? So I wish I had that noise. I wish I had that. You know what I'm saying? So then she gets.
So let's just take a breath. We're gonna take a breath because that's a lot. it's a lot even in your life, and it might be a lot for my, those who watch, those who are watching now. Y'all go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, because people do need to hear this. Please share it with other people. One, because hopefully it will give someone hope to continue to keep going regardless of how difficult it might be. I've seen this young lady, like I said, we haven't known each other like even a year yet, but I do consider a friend, because of some of the challenges that we've had and some of the similarities. I don't know what it's like to see, a 7-month-old resuscitated, but I know what it's like to see someone resuscitated. And, I've shared with you, for me, that was my mom, and she didn't make it. And so, honestly, I would have given anything for another chance. But you're right. I don't think people sometimes realize how, quickly that time goes between the time that they code or they're unconscious to the time that they die. And so you really you have to think quick on your feet. So, you know, I commend you for, even in the midst of that, having enough sense to know what to do. So, but you're right. It does happen really fast, and it's also slow at the same time. It's the
Yep.
weirdest thing ever. You know what I mean? And so, and then to have to bring your child home, um, you know, after so many times of her being in the hospital, having so many different surgeries. I don't know about y'all who are watching, and I don't have children, but I've definitely helped a lot of children in my life. Since I was a kid, I was a tutor and a teacher and educator, all that stuff, counselor. So I've worked with a lot of kids. And one of the hardest things for me, who isn't a mom, is to see a child sick and there's nothing I can do to help them. Did you ever feel that type of pull, in your?
Every day of my life. I mean, every day of my life. Like, I know you wanted me to pause, so I paused for a moment so I can just bring you up to speed as quickly as I can. She got pneumonia. She had to be admitted to the hospital. Because of that, mind you, this is after the brain damage and everything. And so she eventually, came home, and she came home after the brain damage, and she got pneumonia like in October, and I had to take her back to the hospital. But because of her condition, she wasn't able to just get back on a regular nasal cannula. So prior to that, all she had was just she just required a little bit of oxygen in her nose. And it's funny because I was stressed out during that time, and I'm like, I would give anything to go back to just a nasal cannula and oxygen. You know what I'm
Can
saying?
you
Because
explain
now
what that is, Monique, for people who don't understand what cannula is?
nasal cannula, little plastic tubes that they put in your nose at the hospital, and it's attached to, either oxygen on the wall if you are hospitalized, or, it's connected to an oxygen tank. So that's all she required at one point. But because of the pneumonia, she was on BiPAP and CPAP, and she still wasn't able to recover. Her lungs they were just weak. And so the only option they gave me was a tracheostomy.
Wow.
So I went from a child who just had a heart defect and who was on the right track of having all three surgeries and would be able to walk and talk, and she would get her feeding tube removed. Like, that was the plan. And then now we are trach, ventilator, and oxygen dependent. So every doctor's appointment, every time I take her out the house, there's a ventilator on my back, an oxygen tank on my shoulder. I'm dragging a diaper bag. And, where I live, there are steps. So I'm literally carrying her because I can't put her in her specialized chair to take her down the steps because there's steps there. So my hands are always full, literally. She is on 16 medications. Because of the brain damage, she still has neurostorm. She has those randomly. So she's on a lot of medications to keep her calm. She's on diuretics. She's on medications for her spasticity. I mean, all things that I knew nothing about. So that plays into the nursing that I'm talking about. But I had to learn how to change a trach. I had to learn how to clean a trach. I had to learn how to work a feeding pump, a feeding tube. I had to learn how to administer medications through a feeding tube. I had to learn how to read a pulse box. You know what I mean? Because I have to constantly monitor her O2 stats. I have to constantly monitor her heart rate. If she's tachycardic, I got to take her in. So it's like the slightest thing. We are in the hospital, and I literally still live there. She just got discharged again. You know what I mean? We had another little scare, and she just came back home again. So the life isn't easy, but I learned a lot from it, and I'm still learning a lot from it. And she shows me every single day that this is my purpose. God gave me to her, gave her to me, and I got to keep it moving. You know what I mean? Regardless of how it makes me feel, at the end of the day, this is what she was put here for. So,
Mhm. My friend Claudette said you are so strong, and I completely agree, which is why I picked the song "Survivor" for her, because sometimes I
thank
think
you.
sometimes it takes other people to see our strength until we can see it ourselves. And I don't know if you always consider yourself, strong, Monique, but you
I,
are so.
no,
Just hear me out. Don't even say anything right now. I just want you to hear it, okay? And we cry on here. If you feel like you need to cry, cry. If you need to laugh, laugh. My friend Tracy said prayers for their strength, mom and daughter. Thank you.
thank
Bless you.
you.
Father said, and so I want you to know that you really are strong, and everybody. I know you're not the only mom who's had to experience some of the trials similar to this, but you're the only one I know personally. You know what I mean? Like I've heard stories, but I see you because of us working together. How you have to shuffle stuff and balance things, and so I bring it up all the time. I was like, there's a difference between make time and have time, and I'm so serious about that now. Like we all have 24 hours. Some of us have more things to do than others, but I watch you. You will call me back. You would tell me such about job. You've let me know when Phoenix was cool or wasn't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll ask you about her in the hospital. It's not just a working relationship with us. That's how I feel. You may feel different, but that's my experience.
No, I completely agree. I wouldn't tell you the things that I tell you. I wouldn't share that stuff with you if it was just a working relationship. So no, you are
I've
absolutely correct.
seen you though. I want you to know though, I've seen you make sacrifices, not just for yourself, but for your daughter. And I commend you because after working with so many parents for 20 years who don't even have half of the struggles or half of the responsibilities that you have, like God bless you. Because somehow he has given you the strength every single time to see when you go back to the hospital to have to go back to the hospital again and go back to it again. And so I want you to know how strong you actually are. And if you ever doubt that, you can always come to this video with people saying the things that they're doing. You can think about the things we're saying today. Sometimes we need the reminders to encourage ourselves. So I need you need to maybe consider encouraging yourself today. And I love the way that God moves on LLG Random or Real because we may have like a topic. We knew we were talking about your daughter, but we don't know how the direction that he's going to take us. Good evening, Dr. J. Said, good evening. So, with that being said, I always ask because this started as a platform for mental health. Has it ever been a time where you were like, I need to get some help? Or do you ever feel like, you know, that mental health, that your mental health is challenged or anything related to that actual topic? Like, what would you say? Because how do you keep going when you're stressed? And I don't know, have you ever been depressed about this? And I'm not talking about necessarily clinically depression. I'm just saying, just in general, because I think if it was me, I might have felt some of those feelings, anxiety, whatever, all this throughout. So what do you feel about mental health? And then is that something that you would be open to, or you encourage other people who might be going through something similar, not necessarily the same situation, but
Mhm.
something similar to do?
Well, mental health, number one, is very important, but I would be a hypocrite if I tried to, encourage other people or talk to other people about it because of my personal struggles. So I can't tell you how to move when I can barely keep my head above water. So when you say, you're strong, I don't see that. I just see that I am a mother and I'm doing what a mother is supposed to do. You know what I mean? And I just don't equate that with strength. I just equate that as doing what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? God gave me this little girl. This is what I have to do. So, in addition to that, I know what happens to me behind closed doors. No one else knows that. So I can't honestly sit here and say, "Oh yeah, I'm strong." I'd be lying to you guys right now. I'd be lying. So I thank you. I thank you for seeing something that I don't see, but I know what happens behind closed doors with me.
Mhm.
As far as my mental health, absolutely. I have been on medication since I gave birth to that little girl. I mean, just imagine I was literally only able to do chest to chest, skin to skin contact with my daughter 1 week. Okay, 1 week of life. She was in the NICU. This was the only week she did not have an incision. After that, she had incision after incision. I couldn't lay her on my chest. So I
Possible
would be so
infections. Was that the reason?
envious. And yeah, I was so envious every time I saw a mom just holding their kid, like on their shoulder, on their chest. I'm just like, God, why couldn't that be me? Why couldn't it be me? And then what I hear is, why not you? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is what you are gonna have to deal with. So, what you gonna do with it? And so far, yeah, we've been keeping right on moving, but it's not easy. So I have definitely been medicated since I gave birth. So I've been on medication since 2018, and I struggle with it now because I feel like if I continue to take it, I feel weak. I feel weak. So I have these moments where I'm just like, for real, you can't handle this life without medication. You need to stop. So I quit. I quit my meds on and off, and oh God, the reality is this: I do need them. The reality is I cannot make it through it without those medications. I turn into a whole nother person without them
Yeah.
because all I have at the end of the day, is when it's just me and her. I'm just like, this really is my life. So I'm back on medication again, and I do not have any intentions on quitting them. But again, I'm very moody, and sometimes I say, no, just see if you
I
could
think
do
it
it.
comes with our sign.
It's sign. So maybe shout out to all those Tauruses out there, those Taurians. But yeah, it comes with that. It's just like, man, I'm not weak. I'm not weak. I can do this. But yes, mental health is important. Um, and I've been struggling. Yes. So to answer your question about depression, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I
It's a real
appreciate.
thing, and I had it ever since they told me once we, I gave birth, and then they took her down the hallway, and they were like, oh, we'll be right back. We just want to check her vitals and stuff. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. That 10 turned to 20, 20 turned to 40. I'm like, go check on my daughter. Where's my daughter? They come back, where her O2 stats, they were low. We need to get her to the NICU and see what's going on. And right after that, that's it. So imagine only having your newborn in your arms one night, like right when I was in recovery. That was the only time I was able to breastfeed her. That's it. After that, she was taken from me, and she went to the NICU, and from the NICU to the PICU, and she was in the hospital till January.
I know I keep on telling you take deep breaths, but I need to take deep breaths so that I can, because I'm a empath, and so I feel, I don't. It doesn't have to be my own experience. I feel everything that you're saying because I can't even imagine having to endure that, and yet I'm like that, like, because I want a child and I don't have one, and it's like, but be thankful. What I hear from this is be thankful and grateful for whatever situation you're in, because it could always be worse, or
Mm-hmm.
for some people, they might have it better. Like you were saying, be thankful for the noise, which a lot of parents aren't thankful for the noise.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
one of my friends was like, I'm sorry they're crying. I was like, they're a baby. They're supposed to cry. Like children want to make noise. And so just be thankful and be present in the state that you're in. That's another thing. So although you don't think you're strong, I do. And I also think that you've been present, each time. Like, don't nobody come. I don't, yes, you got a job. I see you. We talk. But don't nobody come before Phoenix. She is the queen supreme, y'all. And that's how I agree. It should be like that. But I also don't want to confuse the fact that being strong doesn't mean that you don't cry. I'm saying you do. I'm just putting this out there for other people who might compare this. Okay.
Right.
Being strong doesn't mean you don't cry. I'm a crier. Yes, I am. 47 years old, gonna be 48 in May, and I cry all the time. And it took other people, they're like, you don't understand, like you just keep going, you keep going. And so people would tell me the same thing, and I didn't see it either. And so maybe that's another mirror situation, so whatever it is that you all might be dealing with out there, it might not be you're a mom and you're dealing with, illness of a child. It could be a whole plethora of things, but I'm encouraged, and I hope that you all are too, to just one, do your best, like every day that you get up, you still have 24 hours, unless God takes you, to do something in that day that's going to help you get to a better place or a better situation. It does not have to be the same that it was yesterday. So I appreciate how you keep going regardless, even though you think it's what you should do, because seriously, we've been in this field a long time, that
Yes, ma'am.
educators and counselors, there's a rack, okay, of people. I'm trying not to get into the ghetto speaking dialect, but there's a lot of parents who drop their ball and they don't do what they're supposed to do or do right by their children. And that's why I said I see you doing it. I see you going. I want to read what Brock said. Hey, Brock, an indication of your strength is that you haven't given up. Exactly. It's okay to get mentally exhausted, and sometimes you will get discouraged, but because you don't quit, you're strong. I agree. Amen to that. Another one, crying now. Oh, this is my friend Lauren. So you are 100% right. Y'all are helping folks right now keep going. And that's important for me. I try to tell people, now I might start crying, but this platform, it's, I can't. I'm gonna try. I told you.
I was not going to.
I know, but you don't cry. Just because I cry, you don't have to cry. But this platform is different because I only speak to people I know personally. Number one, unless you, other than my friend Dr. Maya, whose business partner was Dr. Monica, and I didn't know Dr. Monica, but they are in business together. That's the only other person where I've had these conversations with, and I think the reason why they touch so many people is because they're so intimate. I have to know you to be able to know how to navigate, but you're always welcome to say, I don't want to talk about that. And I'm like, okay, because I realize it's not easy to talk about your story, but just think about how many people you're helping right now. And then think about, as you were talking about, medication, things like that, you're a different person. That's what I'm hearing when you're on meds and then when you're not taking them, so that you can be strong, not just for yourself, but also for your daughter. So how many people did you just encourage to that it's okay if that's what you need, so that you can keep going? And even as a counselor, I would tell people that all the time. If you have to take medication, take it. If it's going to save your life, it's going to help you be consistent. If it's going to help you walk in your purpose, then so what? That's the noise that we need to cancel out, right? Not the other thing. So I appreciate you like saying that. I appreciate you just putting that out there. So Phoenix is now what you said, 2.5?
Man, she will be 3 in August, and I am planning her party. The theme is butterflies, beads, and barrettes, honey.
Oh, that
and
is
I'm really going to take her out of the house. So I keep her in the bubble because I have to, especially right now. But yes, I'm going to take her out the house and set that thing up nice, because the doctors told me that she wasn't going to make it past 8 months. So now we about to hit 3, so the party's gonna be lit. You hear me?
What is the final say? Now I'm about ready to start singing. We had some praise and worship in here.
Hallelujah. Okay.
Hear stories like that.
Yeah.
One thing that I learned is that strength is not determined by your successes and failures, but your strength is in your perseverance. I agree. And even, the Bible talks about, he said, in my weakness, I'm made strong, through Christ or whatever. So it's not even what you see in me. Because, if you saw the mess, the real person that I am, the one that's trying to get stuff straight, then it's nothing but God's strength. And the fact it also says brand new mercies I see every single day. We get a chance to start over and do better than what we did before. So what are some of the things that you feel like you challenged yourself, or that you've changed since having Phoenix?
So he went into a local store.
It's pause, y'all. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Now we can. It paused for a little bit.
So wait a minute. Give me. Sorry, someone called. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Oh man, but it's still not coming through. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to tune in. I'm sorry. Ask your question again.
Okay, I said, so since having Phoenix, what's one of the things that you have either challenged or changed or seen in yourself, from that time until even now? I mean, outside of being a nurse, outside of you're educated about things I never even heard of, and you're educating other people, which is so important, because I think a lot of times we have biases or sometimes even prejudices because we're not aware of all the things that are the challenges that might be there. But when someone takes the time to inform us or educate us, then that allows us to open up our minds to, other situations, abilities. But it takes having a conversation in order to get that, or just, it has to be something, what I'm saying, to even start that process. So what changes have you seen in you since having Phoenix?
Honestly, the only thing that I can mention is just my relationship with God. That has improved. And I do believe, I'm a firm believer that this is part of the reason why he gave me this little girl. I wasn't as close to him as I should have been. You know what I mean? And At this point, you have absolutely no choice. You know what I mean? You'll be stripped of every single thing but him. And so you get to a point where you just have to lean on him and trust whatever it is that he's laying out. And that's been my situation. So that would be the one thing I would say that's changed the most, my relationship with God. And he shows me every day through this little girl. She smiles. She just randomly does stuff. She just stares off into space sometimes and she's talking to her little angels. I got videos of her cracking up like she's doing things now that the doctor said that she couldn't do, but they must not know that doctor. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely. The
she's just going
ultimate
to keep it
healer.
right on moving and keep on making my day. I'll share the videos with you, but that's the biggest thing that's changed in my life is that relationship.
Well, that's a major relationship. You know, I'm happy to even hear that. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of us would not, once we recognize that for real, we wouldn't be where we were without God. It's so much better and it's a little bit easier. It doesn't mean the challenge itself isn't going to be hard or difficult, but just knowing that you're not the one. It's like the footprints, poem, like he's carrying us. It's not our
Yep.
print, the man is his. And when we know that he's in control, it really does help. I'm on my way back. I think I shared with you, it was licensed ordained minister and evangelism was my calling. And so I was supposed to seek and save the lost, talk to people about Christ and win them over, whatever. And through my own fall and my own sin, my own issues, I had a lot of brokenness. And so I've taken a break, but this is even a platform for me to even minister to people. So even though I thought I stopped, God had a whole nother situation planned and I'm still able to walk in my calling and my purpose is just in a different, and this is before we knew we were going to have a pandemic and everybody was going to be at home. Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on getting back to that consistent relationship. I do still read my Bible every day. I do still spend time with him because I can't make it without him. I can't, I can't make it without him. I really, really can't. So I'm really happy to hear that that's improved. So what's Phoenix's favorite, that you've seen or the most consistent thing that she's done? You just said that there's some things the doctor said that she couldn't do that she's actually doing. But as a mom, I know you're just like, man, she does that a lot. Or,
Mm-hmm.
it's like telltale signs that for you let you know that, God does have me through this. He not just letting
Mm-hmm.
handle this by myself.
Definitely the laughter. Man, she knows when I need it, and when she starts it, it's like she just can't seem to stop. And I'm like, girl, come on with it. Keep that thing coming, because mommy needs that. So
Um,
her laughter and her smiles, definitely something I wasn't expecting to see. And she does regular kid stuff. You know what I mean? Despite the brain damage, there's normal stuff going on. There's teething going on. You know what I mean? She gets the hiccups. I think that is the funniest thing. It's like the small stuff that we just take for granted. I'm just like, girl, you just hiccup. You better do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I celebrate everything, every little thing that she does.
yes.
When I walk in, you know what I mean? I could come home and she'll be at home with her nurse. Soon as I walk in, I'm trying my best to whisper. She's knocked out cold. You think that thing don't wake up? So she knows my voice. So it's things like that. You know what I'm saying? I understand you guys are saying that there's damage, but she knows when I walk in the room. So, you know what I mean? Like damage, but she's not done. She's damaged, but she's just not done.
Girl, see you. Oh, okay. So you just said something there. First of all, I said celebrate everything with your children, not just the milestones. Because you're right. I don't think that sometimes we do take for granted the things that they're supposed to do this, they're supposed to do that. But take the time to be present with them in those 24 hours that you get. And a few years ago, I preached about there's a song Yolanda Adams has. And it's called. She says, "Broken, but I'm not shattered." But the sermon was called about he'll put basically the broken pieces back together. Well, I do two things. One is broken crayon still color, and although the crayon is still color, it still has a purpose. It might not have a point, it might not be sharpened, you might have to take the paper off or whatever, but that color is still going to utilize and be done and do all the things it's supposed to do. It's a workshop. If y'all interested, call me. I love doing that workshop. I had a chance to do it at my school too, thanks to Miss Gaines, and it's powerful. The other thing is, it says, I can't remember the name of the title of the sermon, but it was talking about how he'll put the broken pieces back together again. We often say shattered, but I'm not broken. Shattered things are destroyed. Shattered things you can't really put back together. Shattered things are things that they are in so many different pieces that they're not just broken, but broken things can be fixed. And he says, a broken spirit and a contrite heart I will not despise. So even though we're broken in the midst, even though we have those weak moments, or we're sad, or even if we sinned or messed up, all he asks us to do is come back with him and repent. Even if you weren't the best mother today because you had a bad day, all he asks us to do to go back and say, you know, whatever it is, so that he can put us back on that narrow path. And so that blessed me. I was like, we have to really watch what we're saying. I'm not shattered. Yep, I am broken. I've been in broken places, but the last time I checked, the potter can put me back together again. And so it sounds like he is doing that for you. It sounds like he has done that in so many areas of your life. And I'm just excited to see, you know, what happens. You know what I mean? He's the one who knows. He's in charge. He's in control. But, you know, I'm excited to see how Phoenix enjoys her third birthday. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see your growth through it all, because you definitely are encouraging not just your own child, but so many other children. Did anybody want to say anything? Because I told y'all in the beginning of this, Monique is on location. And so that we're laughing because of like literally.
Look, I'm sorry if you saw me waving at people. I'm just trying to get it together.
It's okay. So I appreciate you taking the time out to do this, because I think it's important. Other people need to hear. So is there anything that you want to say before we leave, or did anybody have any questions before Monique goes? You can start, Monique, if it's anything you want to say.
If they're typing in the chat or whatever, I'll just add this one major piece that I missed when she coded. You know, they had the intubator, and she had an MRI, all this sticky stuff all in her hair and everything, and she stayed in that place, in that position, for about a month. And they told me, all right, Mom, I mean, you got to make a decision, right? So we're telling you to, you know, pull the plug, but we're not rushing you to pull the plug, so to speak. But it felt rushed, if that makes sense. So I just want everybody to understand the power of fasting and praying. I didn't know what to do. All I knew was that the doctors were in my ear telling me we cannot keep her intubated. We cannot keep her on life support this long. And so I fasted and I prayed, and the number 423 popped up in my face 7 times in a row. The number of completion, right? So I said, okay, so this is it. 423, April 23rd, let's do it, right? April 23rd comes, my family, we all dressed up in white and gold, because, you know, they told me, Mom, once we take this tube out of her throat, she's only going to live for about 6 hours. She'll probably expire after 6 hours. They took the tube out, man. I saw her face turn completely gray. She just turned this weird shade of gray. She looked like she was gone already. But then I kept staring at her. That gray turned pink. Those little chubby cheeks got pink and rosy. I said, wait a minute now. So 6 hours passed. I went home. Everybody thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy. I did not stay at the hospital. I went home because I knew at that point she was going to be okay. I called the next morning after taking her off life support. I was like, hey, well, how's Phoenix doing? Phoenix is surprisingly doing well. And I said, oh, is she now? So I said, you know what? Because this was called compassionate release. I agreed to remove her off life support, and we're supposed to just watch her go and all that good stuff. But she wasn't ready, right? So I told them, this is what we're going to do. Give her back her oxygen, give her back her feeds, give her back her meds, put her back on everything that she's supposed to be on. And then, you know, eventually we're going to come right back home. I brought her back home, and it was crazy. That is how that went. But I want you guys, if you haven't tried it before, fast and pray, and whatever it is that you are seeking, be very specific in your prayer, and it will come to me. Like, her room number at the time was 423. I prayed over her. I opened my eyes, looked at the clock. It's 423. Then I saw it like 5 other times, and I was like, I guess that means April 23rd. And I mean, the life that I saw coming back into her body in that moment blew my mind. And so from that point, that's where I went on to the news to tell that story, because we went from she's not going to make it 6 hours, Mom, to we about to have a party number 3. Okay. Yeah. So just be very specific and fast and pray.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that was your reality. And, you know, for those of us that was not, don't be discouraged in that as well. Just trust God through the process. Sometimes I tell myself, you know, like, I always think it's something I could done. Could I have done this? Would this have made, such and such? It's really nothing you can do because I'm not in control. Only God's in control. And so every day, the best we can do is what we can do. Now, if you're not doing anything, like Brock was talking about earlier, and you're not persevering and you're just kind of giving up because life is hard, that's when we fail. But if you keep going, you know what I'm saying? Keep going, keep getting up, keep trusting, keep believing, keep fasting, do it all over again and all over again. Even when it seems bleak, do it over again, and watch what happens. I think about Job. I think about his story. Like I'm telling you, people don't know, like some of those Bible stories get real good to you when you in the midnight hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
He lost his whole family and God restored that and everything else that he lost. And so, but I thank God that that was not your story. It is not your story. We all know if we're born, we'll die. Like that's a given, right? And pay taxes. But some people don't even do that, including the person that was in the presidency. But that's a different story. But, or so they say. But, we while we have is that dash in between. It's up to us and how we're going to live, this life. And it sounds like Phoenix is a fighter too, and she's a survivor just like her mama. And so that's awesome. I just YouTube doesn't let us play the songs that don't belong to us. So I can only play my own songs without getting permission unless it's on a list, because I would play that right now. But I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to ask you to hold on 1 second. Y'all, please, like I said, like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube page. It's 1SingingLady spelled out completely. And then you all can follow me on social media. At 1SingingLady, or go to solo.2 1SingingLady, or my website lisalgilliam.com. Monique, did you want to share your social media information with any?
Honestly, I don't know it off the top. So, but
Okay.
I would like to share this. If you all just type in Miracle Baby Phoenix Divine, you'll be able to see the news stories and everything from her being taken off life support. So the first part of her life, that time period that I explained to you guys, just type in Phoenix Divine or Miracle Baby and it'll pop right up so you can actually read the story.
I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. Phoenix,
Yes.
and it's Divine.
No, ma'am. Capital DA
Mhm.
apostrophe VINE.
Hold on. DA apostrophe what?
VINE, divine.
Okay. Just want to make sure. That's why I asked. I'm typing it in the chat so you all can see it.
Yep.
Hold on.
We were first with channel 9, and then it just kind of went from there. And then Fox started messaging me, all these different networks started messaging me to get the same stories. They always in competition, but I knew at that point that I had to talk about it.
They got
After seeing what I saw on April 23rd, when they took her off life support, I had to talk about it.
Well, we appreciate you talking about it. I think it's important.
I appreciate you having me.
I'm sure that others think it's important too. So just hold on 1 second, and we are going to allow you all. Thank y'all so much for watching 1SingingLady out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I know y'all watching. Thank you so much, Monique. Hold on 1 second.